Guys, it's June. Yay! Happy summer! Woo! I also made the poor mistake of straightening my hair today when it was hot as the gates of hell out. So halfway through straightening my hair, I actually gave up and laid down on my floor, face down in a strapless bra because it was too hot, so I gave up on life. Hi guys, my name is Weeks and welcome to week 4 of my YouTube bucket list. Week 4's task is to tell a secret. I've actually been thinking a lot about what I was going to do, what I was going to say, because I realized that a lot of you don't really know that much about me personally. You know a little bit about me from watching my videos, but on a more serious note, I realize there are certain things that I haven't told you guys. So I'm really nervous, but here goes. My big secret, I guess it's not technically a secret because some people do know about this, it's just necessarily a topic I guess I don't really talk about very often, or it's not the first thing I say to people, but my secret is I am dealing with a anxiety and panic disorder. A lot more people than you would expect actually do suffer from anxiety disorders. Well, when I was younger, I always was a little bit anxious and nervous, and I kind of would get very shaky and uncomfortable very easily. So personally, I've been dealing with anxiety issues since I was in about 8th grade, and they kind of really started up right after my parents had gotten divorced. I started seeing a therapist, but after my 8th grade year, I kind of settled in, and then I started high school and my anxiety problems went away for a few years. And it wasn't until my junior year of high school that I actually had a severe panic attack in the middle of school, which sometimes when you have panic attacks, you actually are hallucinating that things are not actually happening, but they feel so real to you that it makes you feel like you're going crazy, basically. And that's scary because not being able to tell if that's actually reality or a dream, I mean, it's kind of like that's actually when you have that breakdown and that breaking point. I just remember feeling so scared and so not being able to control how I felt, and I felt like I was suffocating and that the walls were coming in on me, and I felt very nervous, and I felt like everyone was out to get me, and that was the point where I knew that I had to make the decision that I needed to get help, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do when you have anxiety disorders, because sometimes you feel, I know personally for me, I'm a very independent person, so I like to take care of everything myself, and I like to do everything myself, and I don't necessarily ever like to ask for help, which isn't always a good thing because I'm very stubborn. But I went and I started seeing a new therapist because I wasn't seeing the one that the court had appointed me to go see anymore. I was able to talk to someone and able to work those feelings out and try to see what my triggers were, because I was so confused as to why it was happening. And I just remember, like, most nights I would cry myself to sleep thinking, what's wrong with me? But in the long run, for other people who suffer with anxiety, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a chemical imbalance that's in your brain. You don't have to feel scared, and you don't have to feel alone. I know personally I felt so lonely for so long because I felt like no one would understand me until I actually got to connect with other people who had suffered from anxiety, and talking about it is the best thing that you can do, because if you get overwhelmed so easily and you tend to bottle everything up, you're gonna explode one day and it's just gonna get worse and worse, and that's actually what ended up happening to me. My junior year, I talked to a therapist for a few months, and then I thought that I was better, so I ended up stopped seeing her, and then my anxiety actually went away for a really long period of time. And I would have certain moments where I would feel it coming along and I would get very anxious, and I would just close up and I would go and I would hide in my room and I wouldn't talk to anyone. And it got to the point where all of my friends and my family were so worried about me and they thought that something else was going on. When you have such horrible anxiety, you feel lonely, you feel depressed, you feel nervous and uncomfortable all the time, and you feel like you're constantly not going to be good enough for anyone. And it's so hard because people with anxiety, they take so much out on themselves, or they'll lash out at other people. And I mean, I'm not stereotyping everyone with anxiety. I know, like me personally and some people that I know, this is the case, but I mean, everyone copes with it differently. I was okay for a little while. It wasn't until my freshman year of college, which was this previous year, that my anxiety actually got the worst that it's ever been. I think the reason why it came back so severely is the fact that I went through so many changes. I was leaving home, I was moving into a new city, I was moving into a new apartment. I had to go to a school where I knew no one except for my roommate. I was so scared and so nervous that I wasn't going to make any friends. I was overwhelmed with the amount of work my teachers had put on me at school. I was having relationship problems. I was having family problems. And this past October, it kind of all just crashed and burned in this one big moment of disaster where I had a horrible panic attack. I called my mom sobbing on the phone because I didn't know what was going on. The scariest feeling of just panic and not being able to control myself and not knowing what to do. I ended up having to go to the doctors and be like, look, I don't know what's wrong with me. And it was a constant feeling of what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's going on. I don't know who I am right now. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel healthy. I feel sick. Because up until that point, I hadn't officially been diagnosed with anything. That decision changed my life. My mom and I ended up going to a psychiatric center in Boston, and I made the decision that I wanted to get tested. I finally got the answers that I was looking for. The doctors finally diagnosed me. They were finally going to actually be able to know how to treat it correctly. I was diagnosed with a anxiety and panic disorder and dyscalculia, which is a learning disorder, which solved a lot of issues in my schooling life that I wish I had made this decision earlier to go and get tested, because maybe throughout high school and my elementary school they could have changed my learning plans. Dyscalculia is a dyslexic math disorder. So you have troubles with learning and understanding arithmetics, because I could never understand math my entire life. I can do basic math like adding, subtracting, multiplying, division, percents. That's as far as it goes. But when it goes anything higher than that, but it was like my entire life I was struggling with something that I didn't even know I had. Now that I have that answer, I know that I'm not stupid, because I spent my entire life thinking to myself and being told by my teachers that I was stupid, or I wasn't trying, or I wasn't putting in enough effort, that I was being lazy and I didn't want to do it. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do it, it was that I physically didn't understand how to do it and I didn't know how to do it. And I've talked to so many people that have been struggling with math their entire life, and I've just said to them, I'm like, you should go get tested for dyscalculia. And I think being tested for a math learning disorder, or any learning disorder in general, really scares people because they don't want that to be branded on them as them thinking that they're stupid. It doesn't mean you're stupid, it just means that you need extra help. And it means that you learn a different way, and it's okay. But my whole thing with this is, if this video can help someone else that's dealing with the same thing that I'm going through, then I've done my job. But I ultimately made the choice to help myself, and I made the choice to actually start taking anti-anxiety medication, which was a huge thing for me because I was never the person who actually wanted to start taking a medication, because that meant that it was real to me. That meant that there was something that I needed to fix. So since then, my anxiety has been a really rocky road these past 8 months. I've been on and off different medications and trying to figure out what works best for me, and I really had to find out who was the healthiest people to be in my life that was gonna end up helping me in the long run instead of hurting me, causing those feelings of anxiety and panic. And it's gotten a lot better than it was. It's really hard for me to talk about. I don't know. I still have it and I still suffer from it pretty badly, but now it comes in waves and I've learned how to control it better. There will be weeks that I'm totally fine, and then there will be weeks where I feel it, and I feel it coming on, and my mom can now tell. She can just look at me and tell when I'm having an anxious moment, and she'll be like, oh, well, why don't you sit down, relax, just breathe. And breathing is one of the best things you can do, is just learning how to tell yourself that you're really okay, and that the world isn't out to get you, or the world's not going to end, or whatever you're thinking about at that moment that you think is a huge deal and that's causing those upsetting feelings. It doesn't matter. The biggest thing is just to learn how to deal with it and learn the best way to cope in your way, because you can't necessarily cope in someone else's way. Different methods work for different people. Some people go to therapists, some people don't. Some people take medications, some people don't. And I'm still learning. I'm learning how to deal with it myself. I'm learning what works best for me, what works best for the people around me. So you just need to keep yourself healthy and keep yourself happy and only keep positive things in your life. Because when you start focusing on the bad things in life, then that's when it's gonna trigger. I guess that's my secret for this week's bucket list. I hope that you guys still accept me and continue to watch my videos, because sometimes it's hard for me to open up, and this wasn't necessarily the easiest thing for me to do, but I wanted you guys to know. And for any of you who are struggling with any of these things, you can talk to me. I have a Tumblr, I have a Twitter. You can write me comments below, you can inbox me. Just remember that you're not alone, and that there are other people who are going through the same situation, because maybe sometimes you think I am alone in the world and no one understands and no one gets it, but I do. I understand, I get it. And if you ever need anyone to talk to, please feel free to contact me. All of my information is below in the description. Just keep on trucking. Don't forget to keep on swimming. It'll all be okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like, you can hit the subscribe button and make sure you get caught up on the rest of my videos, and look forward to more videos in the future. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I really do love you all. And pretty sure the best part of your week is the weekend. I'm always here to chat if you need to. Bye, kittens.